Hey guys, welcome to Cara's Cucina. I'm Cara Di Falco. Today I am showing you how to make a classic Bolognese sauce. Great food isn't just about good ingredients and knowing how to cook, it's about telling the story of the food. Bolognese sauce is a very typical winter dish. It's a hearty type of sauce. It goes really well with long flat pastas or with lasagna, which is what we're going to be making next week. And you'll notice that it really doesn't have a whole lot of vegetable in it. It has some vegetable, but it's very much a winter dish, very heavy on the meat, very hearty. So to start off, I have 4 ounces of diced pancetta, and my pot is over medium-high heat. It's starting to get pretty warm. We're going to get this in here. We're going to render the fat out of it. So instead of starting with olive oil, we're going to use the fat from the pancetta. We rendered out all the fat from our pancetta, so now I'm going to remove it from the pan and set it aside in a bowl. And the next thing that we're going to cook in here is I have 1 pound of ground beef and 1 pound of ground pork. So we're going to brown both of those up as well in our already hot pan. And we're going to use our spoon to break them up into small pieces. Our meat is almost completely brown. There's just a little teeny bit of pink in there. It's really all crumbled. And we are spooning it into the same bowl that we have our pancetta in. We want to try to let the juices drain off. We want to leave those in the pan as much as we can. And the next thing that we are going to cook, and again, so we haven't added any olive oil as our fat. We're really using the fats from the meats. And we are going to add in a very classic, my French is terrible, but mirepoix, or just onion, carrot, and celery, which is very famously a French way to start a dish. But if you think about where Bologna is in Italy, the northern part of the country borders France. So they definitely would have some of that influence and sharing of their foods and their style of food. So this is part of what makes a Bolognese sauce or ragu Bolognese, because any sauce with meat in it in Italy is a ragu. But Bolognese is a little bit different from ragu Napoletano, which a lot of us here in the States are going to be a bit more familiar with, because a lot of Italian Americans have a bit more Southern heritage than the Northerners. They really didn't come over here quite as often or as much. So now we've got our pan ready to go. It's got that meat fat in it. So we are going to add in 1 onion, 3 small carrots that are peeled and chopped, and 2 celery stalks. And we are going to season this with a little pinch of salt. Our vegetables have been cooking down for about 7 to 8 minutes. They're really soft. They have a nice fragrance to them. We're going to add in 3 cloves of chopped garlic. Now, the garlic is always a controversial issue when it comes to Italian cooking, because some will put it in and take it out again. Some of us here in the States like to put it in and leave it. So it's really up to you. I've seen recipes for this dish that have, 5 or 6 cloves of garlic. I've seen recipes that have none. I like 3 because I happen to like garlic. I think it's a really good vegetable to include this time of year. It has antibacterial properties, antiviral properties, so it's good for you, especially in these colder months. So we're just going to get that in there just until it becomes fragrant, just about another minute. And then we're going to add back in all of our meat. We're going to season everything once again with a little salt and pepper, and we are going to add in a 28-ounce container of crushed tomatoes. And if you saw my video If you're watching on YouTube, you can get it at the link above, at the card above. If you saw my video on canning tomatoes at the end of the summer, this is what that was for. This is what they would use those for. As the colder months came in and you couldn't have fresh tomatoes, you were able to go to your stash of canned tomatoes. So we're gonna get this in here as well. The last few ingredients for our sauce is going to be 1 cup of white wine, 1 cup of whole milk, and again, maybe not exactly traditionally, but I have to have a little something green in here, so I'm also going to add in about 1/4 cup of chopped fresh parsley. And again, just things that are good for you in the wintertime that are going to kind of help preserve your immune system during these cooler months. So we'll get all that in there. And again, if you look at this, you see it's not really a tomato-heavy sauce the way a lot of us would think of a ragu or an Italian-style meat sauce. And again, that's because the tomatoes really come more from the southern half of the country and are used more widely there. So that's what a lot of Italian Americans are familiar with. But for a true Bolognese sauce, we use the milk, we use the white wine, the vegetables, and that's really what's going to make this sauce. The other key here, this is the part that nobody really likes to bother with, but it is going to be the key, and this is a great recipe for Sunday or again for the holidays as we're using it, is to let it sit and simmer. So now that we have everything in here, everything's flavored, it smells beautifully, I'm going to lower my heat to like a medium low, and I'm going to cover this and we're going to let this sit and simmer for at least 3 hours. Thank you guys so much for watching. That is how you make a classic Bolognese sauce. And again, this can be served with any long flat pasta. That's the most traditional way. Or of course in a lasagna, which I'm gonna show you guys how to make next week as we continue to prepare for Christmas here in the Cucina. Guys, if you like this recipe, hit that subscribe button. It's the little image with my face right around here. We've also got the link to the written recipe for you up here and another fabulous dish from Cara's Cucina coming up right here. I'll see you guys next time. Bon appetit.